She missed her flight, and it ruined her day. Frustrated, tired, and emotionally drained, she sat in an empty airport cafe staring at the window, thinking it was just another meaningless delay, until a man sat next to her, a total stranger, who happened to be reading the exact same rare book she carried in her bag. A book her grandmother had given her the day before she passed away. They spoke. He listened, and within that brief, unplanned moment, she received the very guidance she had been begging the universe for. Not in a meditation, not in a vision, but in a flight delay. Was it a coincidence? Or was it something else? We've all had moments like these: strange alignments, perfect timings, eerie repetitions, uncanny encounters that feel scripted. And yet, most people brush them off as luck, randomness, or their mind playing tricks, because if they dared to believe otherwise, it would mean that reality is not linear, that the universe is listening, that something far greater, far more intelligent, is constantly orchestrating behind the scenes. And if that's true, then nothing is ever random. But here's the paradox. The moment you start believing in synchronicity, you begin seeing more of it. And the moment you write it off, it seems to disappear. Why? Because synchronicity is not just an event. It is a mirror, a precise reflection of your vibrational state interacting with the quantum field. Let's break the illusion. The mind, trained in logic and control, tells you that life is a sequence of cause and effect, a straight line of unrelated events governed by probability. But the quantum field tells a different story, one where time, space, and matter are not fixed, but fluid. One where everything is connected through invisible threads of energy, vibrating, exchanging information at speeds the intellect cannot fathom. And in that web of connection, meaning is constantly emerging. What you call a coincidence is actually coherence between your internal state and the field. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, who coined the term synchronicity, described it as a meaningful coincidence of two or more events, where something other than the probability of chance is involved. He believed that the psyche and the physical world are not separate, but entangled. That your thoughts, dreams, symbols, and external experiences are part of one unified field, constantly communicating. But that's not just philosophy. Quantum entanglement shows us that two particles, once connected, remain bonded beyond time and space. What happens to one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. Now imagine that your consciousness is a node in that field. Every time you think, feel, intend, you send a signal, and the field replies. The reply doesn't always come in words. It comes in symbols, repetitions, numbers, songs, conversations overheard at the perfect moment, delays that reroute your path to exactly where you needed to be. Synchronicity is the field talking back. But here's the part that most people miss. The universe is whispering to you all the time. You're just not trained to hear it. You've been conditioned to dismiss the whispers in favor of noise. But if you knew that each of those whispers was a breadcrumb, a portal into deeper alignment, would you start paying attention? Let me ask you something. What if every major turning point in your life was preceded by a synchronicity you almost missed? The phone call you randomly answered. The stranger who said just the right thing. The wrong path that led to your purpose. We call these moments accidents only because we don't see the full pattern. But from the perspective of the field, nothing is separate. Your desire, your frequency, your timeline, they're all interacting in real time, collapsing into form based on your attention and coherence. And here's where it gets even more powerful. The more aware you become, the more synchronicities occur. Not because they're happening more, but because your perception expands. You begin tuning into layers of reality that were always there but invisible to a distracted mind. That's the real gift of synchronicity. It trains your attention. It pulls you into presence. It awakens your subtle senses. You start feeling guided instead of lost, supported instead of stuck. And life stops being random. It becomes responsive. But not all synchronicities are comfortable. Some arrive in the form of contrast, breakdowns, delays, rejections, not to punish you, but to redirect you. Because the universe doesn't always speak in pleasant signs. Sometimes it speaks through interruption, a pattern break, because that's the only way it can get your attention. Like the woman in the airport. She thought she was being blocked. In truth, she was being rerouted, not by chance, but by resonance. And this brings us to a crucial truth. Synchronicities don't happen to you. They happen through you. They are the result of an energetic conversation between who you are being, what you are emitting, and what the field is reflecting. You are the sender. The field is the receiver, and the echo that comes back is the sign. So the real question is not, will I get a sign, but am I tuned in enough to recognize it? Because what you call a random alignment may actually be a cosmic response to your internal shift. And the more you align your frequency with clarity, gratitude, and intention, the more the universe reveals its language. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the field actually sends those messages, the mechanics behind the mystery, and why recognizing synchronicity is not a gift of the few, but a skill that can be activated by anyone. Even you, especially you. Most people think the universe speaks in silence. But what if the silence was filled with signals? Intelligent, personal, and vibrationally precise. What if the very reality around you is not random matter, but a dynamic field constantly organizing itself in response to who you are? This is not poetry. This is physics. To understand how synchronicity works, you must step beyond the visible and into the quantum fabric that holds it all together. Because the signs you receive are not accidents. They are responses. And those responses come from a field that is not just alive one but aware. Let's start with what most never learn in school. In classical physics, the universe is treated like a machine, predictable, measurable, objective. You are seen as separate from your environment, a passive observer. But quantum mechanics shatters that paradigm. In the quantum world, the observer affects the observed. The field responds to consciousness. And everything, yes, everything, is entangled in an invisible web of information and energy. David Bohm, one of the great quantum physicists of the 20th century, proposed that what we see as reality is just the explicate order, the visible expression of a much deeper, hidden realm he called the implicate order. In that realm, all things are interconnected beyond time and space. The implicate order is not static, it is alive, dynamic. It's where meaning lives before it becomes matter. Now pause and consider this. Synchronicities are not created in the explicate order. They don't originate from the physical world. They emerge from the implicate, the invisible structure of consciousness, and bubble up into your experience as a mirror of your inner state. So when you see repeating numbers, when you hear the same phrase from 3 different people, when life arranges coincidences too precise to ignore, that's not the universe reaching out to you. It's the field reflecting back what you are transmitting. That's how intelligent the system is. Rupert Sheldrake, a biologist and consciousness researcher, calls this the morphic field, a kind of collective memory of nature and consciousness. In this model, each thought, emotion, belief, and intention sends out a ripple into the field. These ripples interact with other energetic patterns, and what comes back is a reconfiguration of your environment, your timing, your encounters. It's not linear logic, it's vibrational symmetry. Imagine standing in the center of a vast field of mirrors. Each mirror reflects a slightly different version of reality, some aligned with your desires, others with your fears. The mirror that lights up is the one that resonates with your dominant frequency. That mirror is your current timeline. The glints of synchronicity you see are light codes, flashes from nearby mirrors, showing you that another version of reality is near, close enough to touch, if you shift. But the universe is subtle. It speaks in nudges, patterns, delays, echoes. It rarely shouts, because it respects free will. It doesn't force alignment, it invites it. This is why people often overlook the signs. They expect thunderbolts. But synchronicity is more like a whisper through the cracks of reality, gently bending probability in your favor. without ever violating the elegance of your own creation. But here's the trap. Most people are tuned only to the surface. They want signs, but their attention is glued to their phones, their fears, their mental noise. And the field responds to coherence, not chaos. This is where heart-brain coherence becomes essential. When your heart and mind are aligned, when your thoughts match your emotions, your electromagnetic field expands and stabilizes. You become a clear antenna in the quantum sea. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that this state of coherence produces a measurable shift in your biofield, increasing your sensitivity to subtle signals. In other words, the more aligned you are internally, the more receptive you become to synchronicity. Your body feels the messages before your mind can explain them. You meet someone and instantly feel like you've known them forever. You drive a different route and stumble on a life-changing opportunity. You dream of a symbol, then see it on a billboard the next day. These aren't hallucinations, they're harmonics. The field is matching the shape of your consciousness. But here's where the quantum magic truly begins. The field not only reflects what you are, it gently nudges you toward what you're becoming. Synchronicity isn't just confirmation, it's invitation, an elegant alignment designed not only to reflect your current state, but to amplify your expansion. You think it's just a number on a clock. It's a vibrational checkpoint. You think it's just a stranger's comment. It's a note of connection, pulling you forward. The more present you become, the more these messages start forming a trail, a rhythm, a dialogue. You're not waiting for signs anymore, you're living in them. And that's when reality becomes art. Now, let's bring it closer. If the universe communicates through frequency, and if the signs you receive are intelligent echoes of your own energy, then the quality of the messages you receive is determined by the clarity of your signal. That means if you want clearer signs, you must become a clearer instrument. How? By regulating your nervous system, by choosing thoughts that match the future you desire, by cultivating emotions that create inner resonance. And when you do, the field listens, the path lights up, and life stops feeling like a puzzle and starts feeling like a partnership. In the next chapter, we'll explore why you only see synchronicities when you're ready, and how your frequency determines not just what the universe sends, but whether you're able to receive it. And once you see how this mechanism works, you'll never walk through life blind again. Have you ever gone through a season where it seemed like the universe was completely silent? No signs, no signals, just static, as if the field had forgotten you, or worse, stopped caring. But then, without warning, synchronicities start flooding in. The right people, the perfect words, numbers repeating like codes, dreams that spill into waking life. It feels like the veil lifts, and suddenly you realize it wasn't the universe that was quiet, it was you who wasn't tuned in. Because here's the secret no one tells you. Synchronicities aren't rare, your readiness is. The field is always responding, always organizing, always reflecting, but your ability to perceive the signal depends entirely on the frequency you're operating from. Think of reality as a massive orchestra of possibility, playing infinite melodies all at once. If you're tuned into chaos, fear, or victimhood, you won't hear the song meant for you, even if it's playing right next to you. But shift your frequency, and suddenly the melody emerges, the symbols align, the path reveals itself. Why? Because perception is not passive, it's vibrationally filtered. Your brain, specifically the reticular activating system, RAS, acts like a frequency tuner. It filters information based on what it believes is relevant to your current identity and emotional state. When you're caught in stress, doubt, or emotional survival, your RAS narrows its filter. You literally don't see the signs, not because they're not there, but because they're outside the range of your current signal. That's not just psychology, that's field mechanics. Low-frequency emotions like shame, guilt, and fear constrict the energy field. The heart rate becomes erratic, the brain loses coherence, and the body enters protection mode. In this state, not only does your electromagnetic field weaken, your intuitive radar shuts down. The result? You walk right past the message. You ignore the signal. You dismiss the pattern as meaningless because the very lens you're seeing through is fractured by incoherence. On the flip side, elevated emotional states, gratitude, awe, love, presence, expand your perception. Your RAS opens. Your biofield stabilizes. Your heart and brain enter coherence, creating a measurable electromagnetic resonance that not only aligns with higher frequencies of the field, it attracts and reveals them. In this state, synchronicity becomes natural. You start noticing the quiet patterns. You start sensing the subtle invitations. You start living inside a reality where everything feels on purpose, because it is. But let's be clear. This isn't about being positive all the time. This isn't about faking emotions or bypassing pain. True readiness comes from authentic vibrational alignment, a grounded willingness to feel, integrate, and then elevate. That means the journey to more synchronicity begins inside. You have to become the version of you who is emotionally and energetically aligned with the signals you want to receive. Let's make this real. You say you want guidance from the universe, but are you emotionally available to hear it? You want signs that your desire is close, but are you already vibrating at the frequency of that reality? Or are you still entangled in doubt? You ask for clarity, but are you creating enough stillness to recognize when it arrives? Because here's a radical truth. The universe doesn't delay your signs. Your frequency delays your perception. Synchronicity is not the beginning of manifestation. It's a midpoint confirmation. It shows up after your signal has already shifted. It's the echo of a frequency you've been broadcasting long enough for the field to reflect it into form. That's why, when people say, everything suddenly started aligning, what they're actually describing is the moment their vibration stabilized. The signs didn't just appear. They became visible. And sometimes, that's all it takes. A shift in how you breathe. A moment of surrender. A decision to feel differently about your future before the evidence shows up. In those micro moments, the veil thins, the field organizes, and reality, which had been patiently waiting, starts responding at the speed of light. Now imagine this. You're in your car, radio on, full static, nothing makes sense. You turn the dial slowly, blindly, and suddenly, a song comes in clear, one that speaks directly to your heart, a lyric you needed, a melody that answers your question. That's how synchronicity works. You were never disconnected. You were just off frequency. That's the beauty and the challenge. You are the transmitter, the tuner, the observer. And when you take responsibility for your internal state, you reclaim your place in the universal conversation. Synchronicities stop feeling like miracles and start feeling like feedback. The field is not trying to amaze you. It's trying to teach you how to listen. So the next time you feel like the universe is quiet, ask yourself, am I present enough to hear? Am I emotionally coherent enough to receive? Am I willing to match the frequency of the message I'm asking for? Because the signs are already in motion. The field is already echoing. The symbols are already forming in conversations, dreams, detours, and delays. You're not waiting for the universe to speak. You're learning how to hear. And in the next chapter, we'll show you how to decode what the universe is actually saying, how to distinguish between random noise and precise guidance, and how to make synchronicity a functional compass for your evolution. Because receiving signs is one thing, but reading them, that's when the magic becomes mastery. The sign appears, a number on a license plate. A phrase you've just written shows up in a stranger's conversation. A person you haven't thought of in years suddenly calls, and your heart asks, quietly but urgently, was that something? Or am I making it up? This is where most people get stuck. Not because the universe stops speaking, but because they never learned how to listen with discernment. We've reached the turning point. You now understand that synchronicities are not rare. They are reflections. You've seen how your frequency determines what you perceive. But now comes the true skill, interpretation. Because synchronicity is a language, and like any language, it requires fluency. Without it, even the clearest message becomes noise. But once you learn to read the signs, the field becomes a compass. Let's start with something that will shift your entire framework. Synchronicity is not prediction. It's confirmation. It doesn't tell you what will happen. It confirms what your field is already generating, what you're in the process of collapsing into reality. The sign is not leading you somewhere. It's reflecting where you're already going. That's why the most accurate way to interpret synchronicities is through state-based awareness. In other words, instead of asking, "What does this mean?" ask, "What state was I in when it appeared? Were you in fear or peace, doubt or knowing, resistance or flow?" The emotional state you are embodying is the context of the signal. That's what gives it meaning. Because the field isn't giving you a fixed message, it's mirroring your frequency with symbolic feedback. Here's a simple example. Let's say you're thinking about leaving a job that feels misaligned. You're scared, uncertain, but secretly you know it's time. Then, on your commute, you see the number 555 associated with change 5 times in 20 minutes. Is it a sign that you should quit? Not exactly. It's a reflection of your inner readiness for transformation. The field is not pushing you, it's echoing you. And the moment you become aware of that echo, it amplifies the frequency. This is where alignment deepens. You begin to move with the message, not chase it. Now let's go deeper. The universe uses archetypal symbols, images, numbers, sequences, and patterns that are charged with meaning across collective and individual consciousness. Think of them as quantum shortcuts, vibrational codes that communicate multi-layered messages instantly. Here are a few common types of synchronicities and how to decode them. Repeating numbers. These aren't just angel numbers, they're frequency snapshots. 111 often appears when thoughts are aligning with manifestation. 222 confirms energetic balance. 323 indicates integration of body, mind, spirit. But their meaning depends on what you were just thinking or feeling. Symbolic animals or objects. Seeing a hawk, a snake, or a butterfly might hold deep personal significance. But instead of Googling the meaning, ask yourself, what does this symbol awaken in me emotionally? The meaning lives in your resonance, not in a universal dictionary. Precise repetitions. Hearing the same word, song lyric, or idea in a short window of time isn't coincidence. It's resonance. These are pings from the field that highlight vibrational convergence points. It's the field saying, pay attention. This frequency is active, but the biggest mistake you can make is forcing meaning. If you analyze the sign to death, trying to extract certainty, you shift from intuitive reception to mental projection. The ego hijacks the message and distorts it into fear or fantasy. So what's the solution? You decode from embodied neutrality. That means you pause, you breathe, you feel the signal in your body. You ask, is this aligned with the direction I'm already choosing to go? And most importantly, does this message bring me closer to coherence or deeper into confusion? Because here's the golden key. A true synchronicity leads you toward clarity, not control. It doesn't pressure you. It doesn't demand urgency. It creates space. You feel recognized, supported, and gently guided, not pushed. That's how you know the signal is real. It lands softly and expands your field. Now, sometimes you'll receive a sign and still not know what it means. That's okay. Not all signs are meant to be understood immediately. Some are seeds, invitations, vibrational bookmarks from your future self, reminding you, this moment matters. Stay open. The more you trust, the more signs come. And the more signs come, the more natural it feels to live guided, not by logic alone, but by a living dialogue with the field. This is when life becomes more than personal development. It becomes quantum collaboration. Now, let's activate this together. Right now, as you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself, what signs have I been ignoring because I didn't trust my own resonance? Then declare, not just with your mind, but with your vibration, that you are ready to listen differently. And if this message has awakened something inside you, a knowing, a remembering, type in the comments. I speak the language of signs. Let that phrase become a frequency. Let it anchor you in this new field of perception. Let it signal to the quantum, I'm awake, I'm listening. Let's continue. because in the next chapter, you'll witness how synchronicity becomes more than symbolic. It becomes a mechanism of manifestation. We'll explore real stories of people who manifested healing, love, success, and transformation, not through force, but by following the signs with surrendered trust. And their stories might just mirror what's waiting for you. Manifestation doesn't always begin with a vision board. Sometimes it begins with a stranger saying the exact words you needed to hear, or a book falling off a shelf, or a number repeating so persistently that it bends your perception and makes you pause. Because the truth is, your manifestations don't arrive all at once. They whisper first. And those whispers are called synchronicities. Let me take you inside the lives of people who didn't just believe in signs. They followed them. And what they found on the other side wasn't coincidence. It was co-creation. Story 1. The job that found her. She was burnt out. Months of job searching. Dozens of rejections. And just when she decided to give up, she started noticing 1111 everywhere. On clocks, receipts, even random license plates. At first, she dismissed it. Just numbers, she thought, but they kept appearing. One day, while scrolling mindlessly, she saw a video, not about job hunting, but about intuition. The speaker said, "If you keep seeing 1111, you're being asked to realign your desires with your energy." That night, she sat in stillness, not applying, not searching, just feeling into what she actually wanted. The next morning, an old colleague messaged her out of the blue. "Are you open to a position we just created? I thought of you last night." That job wasn't on any listing. She never applied. She aligned, and the sign came before the outcome, not to predict, but to prepare. Story 2. The dream that delivered love. He had just ended a painful relationship. Closed off, guarded. He wasn't looking for anything. But one night, he dreamed of a woman standing on a bridge, holding a blue umbrella. She looked at him and smiled, without saying a word. A few days later, while walking through a park he rarely visited, it started raining. As he looked for shelter, he saw her, the woman from his dream. Same blue umbrella, same eyes. They spoke. It felt like remembering. And months later, they were inseparable. He didn't manifest her by force. He didn't chase. He simply followed the breadcrumbs, the inner vision, the resonance, the dream that wasn't just imagination, but a vibrational preview of a timeline already forming. Story 3. The numbers that saved a life. She was battling depression in silence. No one knew, not even her closest friends. But every time she asked for a sign, anything to hold on to, she would see 444 on her phone, on bus stops, even carved into a bathroom stall once. It felt strange, almost absurd. One day she searched it. 4 to 44 meaning, the first sentence that appeared, "You are fully supported, even when you feel alone." She burst into tears, not because of the number, but because in that moment, she realized something was holding her. Something unseen, something real. That night, she told a friend what she was going through. It changed everything. She got help. She got better. And to this day, every time she sees 444, she smiles, because she knows the field is still speaking. These aren't just stories, they are mirrors. Because while the details may differ, the pattern is the same. A frequency shift, an inner moment of surrender, clarity, or intention. A reflection, synchronicity appearing not as a reward but as feedback. A response, not from the outside world, but from the quantum field itself. And that pattern is repeatable, not because the field plays favorites, but because it plays frequencies. Synchronicity is the language of a universe that isn't testing you, it's mirroring you. And when your desire, emotion, and attention come into coherence, the field doesn't just send you manifestations, it pulls you into the timeline where they already exist. This is why the stories above might feel like yours, not because you've lived them, but because your field recognizes them. You've felt the signs. You've brushed past the moments. You've seen the clock tick 11:11 and felt something stir. That stirring, that's the edge of your next timeline, vibrating into view. The more you trust it, not blindly but with conscious awareness, the more it grows, the more it organizes, and the more it delivers. But here's the deeper truth. Synchronicity is not magic. It's intelligence. And when you honor the signals, when you act, shift, or listen in response, you enter a flow state where manifestation is no longer something you try to do. It becomes something you are. You become the person who doesn't wait for proof. You become the one who follows the signal, even when it makes no sense. You become the version of yourself that reality can no longer ignore. And that's when the universe responds without delay, because it's not responding to your wishes. It's responding to your embodiment. In the final chapter, you'll receive a practical method to live in daily resonance with synchronicity, not just to recognize signs, but to attract them, consciously, consistently. And we'll show you how to turn this into a lifelong frequency. By now, the signs are no longer distant events. They've become personal, familiar, close. You're beginning to see what was always there, a living field that doesn't just surround you. It responds to you, not once, not occasionally, but constantly. The question is no longer, will the universe send me a sign? It's, am I ready to live in ongoing conversation with the field? This is the shift, from passive recipient to magnetic transmitter. And when you make this shift, synchronicity stops being rare. It becomes a way of life. But how do you sustain this? How do you stay aligned long enough, consistently enough, for the signs to not only show up, but to guide your entire path? The answer isn't complex. In fact, it's so simple that most overlook it. Synchronicity flows to those who live in coherence. Not perfection, not performance. Coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and energy are aligned with the frequency of who you truly are, the field doesn't resist you. It flows toward you like gravity. But coherence doesn't just happen, it's cultivated. So let me share a simple daily practice, a quantum ritual, to help you become a magnet for synchronicity. The 5-minute synchronicity tuning practice. Step 1, the reset. Close your eyes, place one hand on your heart. Breathe in for 5 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Do this for 3 rounds. Let your nervous system settle. Let the static dissolve. Presence is now activated. Step 2, the alignment question. Ask yourself silently, what does my field need from me today? Not what you want, what you're being asked to embody. The answer may come as a word, a color, a memory, or nothing at all. Don't force it, just receive. Step 3, the signal broadcast. Feel gratitude, not for what's coming, but for what's already present. Gratitude stabilizes the signal. It tells the field, I am ready to receive more of this. Stay here for 60 seconds minimum. Step 4, the listening posture. Throughout your day, treat reality like an intelligent feedback loop. If a pattern repeats, pause. If a number shows up, feel, say to yourself, this is part of the response. Don't chase meaning. Let resonance speak first. You don't need an altar. You don't need crystals or chants. You need awareness, intention, and emotional alignment. Because the more you honor your frequency, the more responsive the field becomes. You become the one who sees what others miss, the one who moves when the signs are subtle, the one who collapses timelines not through effort, but through clarity. And people will start asking you, how do things always seem to align for you? They won't understand that you're not lucky, you're attuned. You've trained your nervous system to become a vessel for guidance. You've taught your heart to trust the unseen. You've remembered that the universe doesn't speak in sentences, it speaks in symbols. And now, the field knows your signature. It recognizes your coherence, and it responds with precision. But here's the final insight. Synchronicity is not the goal. It's the byproduct of becoming your true self. When you stop pretending, when you stop forcing, when you stop chasing timelines that don't match your soul, the signs find you. because they were always meant for the version of you who remembers. And if you're ready to go deeper, not just into signs, but into the full mechanics of quantum embodiment, there's a next step. There's a guide called Awaken Your Quantum Power. It's not just a book, it's a blueprint, one that reveals how to live, breathe, and create from the field of infinite potential. Inside, you'll find practical exercises, deeper teachings, and activation codes to help you master your vibrational field and manifest from your most coherent self. If this journey resonated with you, the book will meet you where you are and take you further. The link is in the pinned comment below. Not because you need more information, but because you're ready for integration. Because this isn't just a video, it's a remembering, and you're not alone in this. There's a whole movement of beings, people like you, waking up to the conversation, collapsing the illusion of randomness, and learning how to walk with the field. You're not behind, you're not late, you're right on time, because the sign is you, and your timeline is waiting. Now, listen for the next whisper. It's already on its way.